First of all, I'll tell you, if you don't believe me, you can always check the link in the description. Everything is described well, so you can see where I'm right or wrong. And now, Ramzan Kadyrov, a Chechen dictator, a guy who is, the most dangerous guy in that area of the world, was pretty much angry because of Ankalaev versus Blachowicz draw. Now everybody knows who's Ramzan Kadyrov, and now let's look at the fight. According to what I've seen, Jan Blachowicz won first 3 rounds fair and square. As long as he was keeping the fight on the feet, he was annihilating Kadyrov's opponent, Magomed Ankalaev, with dangerous and devastating calf kicks. Ankalaev survived that, and I give him credits for that, but according to all rule books, literally according to all rule books, it was clear 3-0 for Almabayev. Sorry, it was clear 3-0 for Jan Blachowicz. And then, I got to say that round 4 was 10-9 because Ankalaev was out-wrestling his opponent, and then Ankalaev controlled him and dominated in round 5, which led to 10-8. So this is a school and a typical example of a draw. Now, if you score any other fight like that, you've seen Jan Blachowicz making tons of damage via calf kicks. And calf kicks are the most dangerous parameter and the most important parameter in UFC fights. So we all know that damage matters more than wrestling and control. In round 4, we've seen wrestling from Ankalaev, but in round 5, we've seen top-tier wrestling, top-tier control, strikes over the top. It's a pure example of 10-8 round. Then we're going to take a look at the status. This fight, UFC 282's main event, ended in a split draw. Not a result anyone wants to see because nobody got the belt, but some things took harder than the others. Ankalaev himself was pretty upset, apparently made UFC unhappy over comments that he'd never fight in Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, given the horrible judging in the state. Man. Horrible judging. What are we going to say about Saudi Arabia judges? What are we going to say about Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal? Huh? What about that, Magomed? You want to say that Rinat Fakhretdinov won that fight? The fight took place in Middle East? Well, not quite. I'm saying not quite, man. While I was having a bet on Rinat Fakhretdinov, and while I was happy that they gave a victory to Rinat Fakhretdinov, I have to disagree with you. Heavily have to disagree with you, because Leal won that fight fair and square. It was 3-0 for Leal, and it ended in a unanimous decision victory for Fakhretdinov. Ankalaev was also upset, but his Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov accused UFC of some sort of conspiracy to screw Ankalaev out of his rightful win due to his associations with like Russia, with politics, whatever. But it was completely untrue. That idiot was completely wrong. He was completely off the rails. Now, this is what he wrote. Dana White, what happened to you? You were a normal, principled man. Today, you took the championship belt out of the ring without handing it to the clear winner. Whereas politics entered the UFC ring and requires you to referee dirty. It's a sport, Dana, be honest. And now look how Kadyrov dug his own grave. Look at this. Take an example from Mairbek Kasiev, ACA League, who stops any judging in the league, any bias, demanding objectivity, and not mixing sports with politics. Hey, Dana, where are you going? Save the face of the league. Your own face. Admit your mistake. Give the belt to the real winner and apologize for this show. Save your league's reputation. I mean, come on, man. And of course, you see how delusional this guy is. And I'm going to tell you the consequences. If Dana White had arbitrarily decided Ankalaev was the worthy winner of the split draw, the league's reputation would have gone down in flames. No one would have respected Ankalaev as champion. It would have brought disreputed to the belt of a division that's already looking a bit deficient on some areas right now, but with the title picture musical chairs going on at the moment. And we knew that Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira was the match that made Ramzan Kadyrov angry the most, because it was the title fight at UFC 283, where Jamal Hill won the belt against Teixeira. But I'm saying you one thing. I'll be honest with you, fellas. That was a crazy call. Now ACA league. Alright, let's talk about ACA. So now I'm talking to you, Mr. Checheni leader and TikTok warrior. You are the law in that area of the world. You are God, you are so dangerous, etc. But what are we going to do about your son? What about your son's fight? Your son has just turned 15 and you put him to fight in ACA. Congrats on that. I confess that your kiddo has big balls, and that's amazing. But what about the fight? What about the fight, huh? What about the opponent who was staying away, who was staying on his back, who didn't even try to scramble out of the position, who stayed on the bottom and didn't even try to flip your son, who was staying on the bottom, who knew that he had to lose because he was under some kind of a big pressure or whatever? What are we going to do about your fight fixing, huh? Listen, if you're God in one area of the world, it doesn't mean that you can ruin UFC, the best show on the planet. UFC judges, especially the ones in the Middle East, made so many horrible errors and mistakes. While Dana White commented on that, while he was pretty much unhappy and upset with Fakhredinov versus Leal, he knows that the decision cannot be overturned by the UFC head honcho. I mean, technically, decisions can be overturned, but UFC head honcho or UFC commander, Dana White, is not the guy who can do it. It was a pure example of a split draw. Now, if you learned to take anything by force and to control everybody, well, Dana White doesn't give a fuck about your money, Dana White doesn't give a fuck about your power, and he doesn't give a fuck about your words, because Dana White is honest and honorable man when it comes to judging. He respects judges' decisions and referees' decisions even when they are wrong. While he publicly said on many occasions that some stoppages were wrong, they were never questioned, because Dana said, okay, they made a mistake, but that's a part of the deal, you know? And you are the last man who should speak about fixing fights.